everybody. Hi, it's Becky from Power Tools with Thread. I'm in the middle of the English trellis quilt from connectingthreads.com, that catalog. And those half square triangles, there's a bunch of them. And my brain is just like, do something else. I needed a diversion. So I had showed you in my last video where I got this Nellie's Needle quilt patterns. So really cute, you know, 4th of July is coming up. Let's see, we're the end of April. Today is April 30th, would have been my daddy's birthday. He passed in 14, so special day. Anyway, so I wanted, this is simple. This is super simple, but I also wanted to do the applique for the stars with the Brother ScanNCut and Simply Applique. And I have another method to show you how I do it from before, how I do it in the ScanNCut. So literally, took me less than an hour to put these pieces together, okay? And these strips are from the Freedom line from, it's a batik. Oh, it was a daily deal from Missouri Star a couple weeks ago, and it came in and the other day. And so these are batiks, didn't matter which way they got sewn, you know, which direction, which side. So super easy to put together, and I knocked both of these out in about an hour. And in this piece right here, this is where the stars are going to go, okay? So the pattern, a lot of times in these patterns, this is where you need the Brother ScanNCut to be able to scan in the applique pieces. But fortunately for this one, it's very simple. It's just a star, a regular star. And I measured it across from here to here, and it's almost 7 inches. And this particular star is designed for needle turn. I'll show you guys. See how the tips are blunted at the end of the tips? That's for needle turn applique. I ain't doing that. That's not happening. Especially for 5 of them. Not going to do that. And the pattern has 3 different sizes of stars for different, it's got a table runner and a table topper as well. So it has different size stars for each one of the patterns that are in here. Anyway, so when I measured that and saw that that's like a 7-inch star, I could have, you know, drawn the points on the paper version and then scanned it in. However, that's such a simple pattern. The ScanNCut also has simple shapes in it already. And let me move this down just a little bit so you can see. So it's already got simple shapes in it. And also we're going to upload these to the Brother Canvas cloud over here. So, and if you don't want to do that, the cloud has simple shapes in it. And the Brother Canvas cloud is free, completely free. You just go out there, you know, just Google Brother Canvas cloud and it'll pop up. And then you just go on there and create yourself an account, and you're off and running. So let me show you guys. I already changed the machine. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see what I'm doing, and I'll kind of start all over so you can see. Okay, so this is the screen on the Brother ScanNCut, and this is the 650 wireless. This is the one version previous to the DX that is out now, okay? So now over here at the ScanNCut, the first thing I have done, I'm going to go over here to my tools and make sure my cut area, it shows 23.74 by 11.65. I'm going to use the 24-inch mat because I want to cut a bunch of stars all at one time. I find that very helpful if I'm going to do a lot of multiples on a project, okay? So to change that, you just touch these little things and it wants to know 12 by 24 or 12 by 12. So I want the 12 by 24 and click OK and OK. Now I'm going to go to pattern. And you can do simple shapes or non-simple, and there's all these different designs and fonts and things, and I'm going to do simple shapes. And I'm going to go to page 5 because I've done this before. Okay, and I'm going to choose the star. Now I said that star was almost 7 or right at 7 inches, so I'm going to make it much bigger. And so it's showing me the height and the width. And I did this measurement from here to here. So I'm going to go all the way to almost 7. There's 7. I'll back it down just a hair. So that's almost 7. It's good enough. So I'm going to tell it, and I want to cut 5 of them. So but watch what happens. How many do I want to cut? I want to cut 5, and it'll tell me, nope, not enough space on the mat. The maximum is 4. Okay, so I'll just back it down to 4. That means I got to run that thing through again, but that's all right. No big deal. Set. There. And look what it does. It moves. So this is the bottom half of the mat. It places these stars so that you are maximizing the use of your fabric, so you don't waste a lot of fabric. Okay, so what I do is I'll count up the lowest point of the star. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 inches left. This is a 24-inch mat, so I will probably cut a 21-inch piece of fabric just to make sure I catch it all. So now I'm going to tell it save, and it wants to know where I want to save it: in the machine, in the cloud, on a USB, or through a cable to my laptop. Well, I want to save it in the cloud, so I'm saving it. Okay, it is my project number 65. I'm going to tell it OK. And now I'm going to, I have to do one more thing. And I have heat and bond ironed to the back of my fabric. I'm going to invert them before I cut them out because the fabric is on the cutting mat face down. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to touch this star and here and invert it and tell it OK. And this star here, invert, OK. I'm sure I could group these, do them all at the same time. It's already selected that one by itself. It knows what I'm doing, I think. And invert the last one. I'm flipping them is what I'm doing. Telling it OK. And OK. And now I'm ready to cut. So I'm going to tell it cut. It's about ready. It's only going to take 2 minutes to cut out these stars. Do you know how long that would take me? If I had to do that by hand, and it wouldn't be near as nice. Okay, so I took a 21 by 12 inch piece of white fabric, and I ironed heat and bond onto the back of it. And if it looks a little bubbly, don't worry. That is where the back of the heat and bond is wanting to kind of bubble around on the fabric. The fabric underneath is very smooth on this sticky mat. This mat has the fabric adhesive, the fabric tack sheet. There's a fabric, oh, it's called the fabric support sheet that you have to put on here, and it just adds a little extra tackiness to hold the fabric in place. Okay, so and you also, once you get it smoothed on, you want to use a brayer or a Pampered Chef pastry roller, as in my case. That's what I do. And I just make sure that this is on nice and smooth and tight. And again, I'm using Heat and Bond Light. That's what I've got on here. You need something on the back of the fabric to keep it from moving around like fabric does. You don't want it to shift. You want that fabric to be stiff, and the Heat and Bond will do that. So Let's go now. I need to load my mat, and to do that, I push it all the way up to the rollers. I have my blade set on almost a 4, which is deep enough. And let me load the mat. And I'm gonna press start. Uh-oh. Don't let that bother you. It's still cutting the fabric. That is just the backing of the heat and bond coming loose. It did not affect the cut at all. Says it's done, so I can eject it. All done. All right, let's go take a look. Okay, so we need to get, obviously it'd be pretty easy to take the paper off because it wanted to come off. I'm just going to peel this off. It's just going to be easier. So let me get the fabric. I'm just going to peel the fabric up now. And to keep, it's not going to stretch because now if it did not cut all the way through, I maybe could have put my blade on some pieces just a little bit deeper. So some places it has cut cleanly through, other places it has not. I'm not worried about that because the lines, you can see them pretty well. Life is messy, you guys. It's okay. We have the technology. We can handle it. So here's a perfect star that cut out, okay? And to get that off, you want to start it maybe with something that you can, I bought one of those dental tools. These are very handy for weeding. You don't need that little, I mean, you can get the weeding tool that's just for these cutting machines. You can buy them at little kits and whatnot at Michael's and Hobby Lobby. But you don't have to have them. Alright, look at this. There's a perfect star. It doesn't have the paper backing on it, but I don't care. So there's one. Okay. So we have 4 very nice, perfectly cut stars. I need to do one more. Okay, so here we are we are in my account. You see it says Becky Thompson there. I'm going to go to My Projects, click on that, and you can see I have been playing with these a little bit. So the reason there are 2, this is project 65, this is the one we just scanned in, and this is 64, that was one I was playing with earlier. So I don't really need this, I'll get rid of that so we don't have confusion. Great, and we don't need this one. So now what I want to do now is I want to have one star is all I need for machine applique using the embroidery machine. So I am going to right down here there's this little thing and it says edit this project. So we're going to click on that. Okay, I'm going to click this star and I'm going to hit delete on my keyboard. Boom, gone. This star, delete, and this star, delete, and that's it. Now I am ready to turn this into an applique file, and you do that by clicking on download. it has two file transfer methods. If I had created the star here in the canvas first to send to the cutting machine to cut it out instead of creating the star in the machine itself, then I would click Scan and Cut Transfer. But we've already cut the stars, so now I just need to download to the PC. This is FCM. An FCM file is what we will use in Simply Applique to create an applique for the embroidery machine. Download to PC. It says, what do you want to do with this? I'm going to hit this and go Save As. And I want to save it in my embroidery files. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it Flag Quilt Star. And this is my star. Star dash 6.79 inch. Save. See how I did that? Now I know what it is and how big it is. And I don't need to view the download. Okay? Now let's open Simply Applique. I'm going to get out of this. Okay. And there's an icon down here on my desktop for Simply Applique. I'm going to click that. Okay, when Simply Applique first launches, it comes up with a brand new landscape right here, a design, and it says Design 1. And so what I need to do is bring my cursor up here to the upper left-hand corner where the A is. And I'm going to click this. And I'm going to scroll all the way down here that says Import FCM. I'm going to click on that. What did I call it? Flag Quilt Star. Sometimes I should write things down. Right there. There it is. See, if I pull this over, if I pull this window over, you can see there's the FCM file. I'm going to open. There it is. Now, I do not need to invert this now because I inverted the stars on the screen. You have to do it one time or the other, okay? So, now because the star has already been cut, you cannot change the size. You don't want to do that. So, real simple. Just make sure, you want to make sure that it is highlighted, okay? You can tell it'll have this, your star has a little blue right here, and you go to Tools, and there's a button that says Convert to Applique. All done. That's simple. Now if I come over here on the left and I hit the little plus sign, and then I hit the plus sign again, that A is for Applique. Number 1 is your placement stitch, number 2 is your tack down stitch, and number 3 is your final stitch. And if you click on the applique, you get a set of properties over here. And the applique type lets you set it at satin, blanket, motif, or run. And then how wide do you want it? How long do you want your stitch length? It's at 2.0. The width is 3.5. I'm going to leave the density. I'm going to leave everything at default. Okay, I think it's going to be just fine. The tack down offset, instead of minus 0.5, I'm going to change that to minus 0.85. And when I change it, well, it wants a whole number, so it went to minus 0.9. See how that's in bold? That means that that change is not yet applied, and you have to click Apply. Once I do that, then everything is good. And this is a guess on these settings. I really need to do a test and see. But I'm finished. So this is what it's going to look like, okay, on that star. I didn't want to do a blanket stitch. I don't think that that would look too good on the points. So now I'm going to File, Save As, Flag Quilt Star, and it defaults to Pace Setter Outline BRF. I'm going to change it to Brother Baby Lock Bernina. It has the multi-needle, it has the version 10, it has an Elna Janome Kenmore, the Viking, the Pfaff, the Tajima, the Singer, Melco. That's what all it does. So I'm going to go V10 and I'm going to put star dash 6.79 inch. And you want to do that in case you make other stars so you know which one's which and how big they are and where they are. So this has now been saved as an embroidery file. So now all I need to do to save it to a USB. All right, I'm putting the USB stick into my computer. You can see these other embroidery files there. And I'm just going to drag and drop. So what happened was, this is the window that I have it saved in on my laptop, and when I plugged in the USB stick, it came up EMB1, which is a naming convention for the multi-needle we have, and there's my star right there. So I have copied it to the USB stick and we are ready to go over to the machine. Okay, so I just ran a test to see if the dimensions that I set on the placement stitch, the tack down stitch, and the final stitch were going to work. And first of all, this is a 9x10 hoop, okay? And if you have a smaller hoop size and you're doing this, just resize the star before you cut it out to the maximum that will be allowed in your hoop. So if you have a 5x7 hoop, then just set your star to 6.5 inches at its widest or tallest point. So one of the things you might notice is that this is floated, okay? I floated this instead of actually hooping the, I hooped the stabilizer, which I used non-woven, it's a tearaway. I used a tearaway. And so you can just rip it off of the, it should just come right off. It's a pretty heavy duty tearaway. I wanted something, when you've got satin stitches, you want to have something that's going to have some stability behind it. And this tearaway, heavy duty tearaway is perfect. You can use a non-woven, you can use a woven cutaway, maybe use 2 layers of that, okay? Something that would normally go on the back of a shirt, just use 2 layers of it. I just like to double up on the backing so that, or on the stabilizer, just to give those satin stitches some something to grab a hold of. So another reason I float this instead of hoop it, and by float it I mean, so you hoop the stabilizer and then you pin the fabric on top of that. And especially when this is going on a quilt, I do not want hoop burn on my fabric. So I have sewn together all of these batik strips. Well, I don't want hoop burn on that, right? So take a look. Tell me what you think. It looks pretty good, doesn't it? The stars are directional. You realize that when it places the placement stitch, when it stitches out the placement stitch, you go to put the star on there and it just doesn't quite fit right. So when you're doing something like that, you want to move it and flip it. I flipped it point to point. Of course, it was the last one. Till you get it right. That fits the best. That, you know, it may or may not be exactly perfect, but you want the one that fits the best. So I am very happy with this. I don't have any puckering. The stitches are even and smooth. I think we're ready to go final on these. Okay, so one of the things you got to do, one of the things I did on this was determine which way I wanted it. Do I want the stars at the top? There's a star strip right here. Do I want this at the top or closer to the bottom? You know, it really doesn't matter one way or the other, but these are kind of right side up. These stars are kind of right side up directionally now with the point, the single center point pointing this way, so I went like this. I marked center with a little white chalk pencil. I also marked the stitch line over here so I know where they need to go. And you just, let's see, the pattern has 2 on the top and 3 on the bottom. And fortunately, they're not perfect any which way, so that makes life really easy. I still have to cut 2 more stars. I used one of my first ones for a for that sample. But we'll put one right here, and we'll put one right here. We'll kind of turn it just a little bit, give it a little character. Put another one right here. Okay, let me move this hoop. So much to do, so little space. And I'm kind of offsetting them. This one's coming up into this strip, and this one's down into this strip. I'm liking that. So I'm going to take my little white chalk pencil, and I'm just going to kind of fold that star over in half and put an X where the center of the star ought to be. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a little V up here at the top. Okay, I'm ready to cut out 2 more stars and hoop. Okay, let's go to the machine. So we're here at the embroidery machine, and let me turn this down just a little bit. Once you get your hoop loaded, you just want to make sure that you have everything out from underneath, that you don't have any fabric tucked under there. Generally, your excess fabric goes off the side or off the back. You want to make sure you don't have anything behind the hoop that as it moves it might hit it. I am using an Isacord white thread. Let me back out. And we're going to sew down the placement stitch. That's pretty close. My alignment, a little bit off, no big deal. Nothing to die over. Actually, that's probably pretty good. The way that thing stitches out. I gotta go put a star on. So when you remove the hoop, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you don't cause this arm to move at all. So hold on to the arm and gently pull the hoop out. That way you don't, if this shifts, it's over. You'd have to start again, and you can get through it, but it takes a little bit of doing. So okay, again, when you're slipping it in, you also don't want to move that arm, so hold on to it, and from the back here just push or clip it in, whatever your machine requires. And then again, make sure you do not have anything underneath. I don't really need the tack down stitch because I've ironed it in place. So if you want to skip that step, you don't have to do it. I got a little thread. You don't have to do it. On the screen here, Let's see. One of the things you can do on these Brother machines is there's a needle with a plus or a minus, and you can skip a step by just pressing the little spool with a plus sign. There. Now it's going to go right to the final satin stitch. You want to be sure to start with a fresh bobbin. And here we go. It says it's going to be 8 minutes to stitch out. So we'll see you back here in a minute. Hey guys, okay, we are on day 2. I ran out of evening last night with my my flag quilt that I was working on, and the top is finished. Look at this. How about that? Can you just see this? I'm going to hang this off of our deck at the coast. You guys, this was so simple to do. Really, once I got... Now, the 3 of the stars, or 2 of them, I actually decided to use a woven cutaway in addition to the tearaway. And, matter of fact, I left some of that tearaway on there. Whoops. I still need to get it on the long arm and bound, of course. But, just to give those stitches just a little bit more stability, I am very, very happy with this. So, yeah, it took me 2 hours to knock out the stripes and the blue field, and probably, another hour for the stars. So, okay, I've had my break from my half square triangles, and my dog is in here getting a drink. So anyway, this is the end of this video. If you stuck with me, good for you. So in this video, I showed that you don't necessarily have to scan in a shape. If you have a shape that you need that is actually part of the machine already, or you could also, there is a series of shapes that you can choose on the ScanNCut, the Brother canvas. So, you know, there's a lot of different ways to use these tools, and you don't have to, you know, there's not just one way. You can be creative and inventive. But anyway, this was a lot of fun, and now I'm back to my last 26 half square triangles. So thank you for all your sweet comments. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for subscribing. And we'll see you again real soon. Bye.